Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Annie. And we're
Overcommitted. But not off book on getting the timing right.
We'll figure out that intro.
Guys, welcome to the show.
So this is our first or third podcast.
I think it's our first.
Okay, so maybe this is our first podcast.
This is our first podcast because I feel like this is a banger to start with.
It is. Why do we call this podcast Overcommitted,
Well,
Kevin?
we did a comedy group, just the two of us, called Committed.
Some might call that a duo.
A duo, a two-person sketch show.
Uh-huh.
Because you and I have done comedy a long time, and we're committed to each other.
Because we're married.
Because we're married.
For how many years? Go.
11, 12, this 12. It's 12.
It's 12.
It is 12.
Uh-huh. I really did catch you off guard.
You did catch me off guard.
Yes.
I felt really confident at 11.
And we were going to name our podcast Committed.
But it was taken.
It was taken. So we didn't want to be those guys.
No.
So we are overcommitted.
Overcommitted.
Which really tracks, because didn't we have a conversation today about how we just don't know how to be adults who clean their house and work and take care of children?
Yes. We are at
capacity
in
our brain.
Consistently, though.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is a lot of people. I'm sure it's some of the people listening to this very podcast. It's just adulting, which it's funny because I was thinking about this today. One of our good friends, Quaz.
Yes.
You remember Quaz?
I remember
He's one of
Quaz.
our party buddies from New York before we had kids.
Yeah.
Before we were married. When he found out we were going to have kids, he was like, Kevin's going to be a dad?
Yeah.
And said it in a way that I remember offended me
Sure.
at the time. But now I get why he thought that. I don't like adulting.
No, neither of us do. And it's part of why I think Overcommitted is such an apt name for our podcast, because we do still sometimes feel like we are just two kids who how are we in charge of so many things, and who agreed to let us have all this responsibility.
Yeah, we have a lot on our plate at the moment.
Uh-huh.
We have a house that was built in the 50s.
It's just falling apart.
That's just falling apart.
Yep.
And then we have to change insurance, and then I have to talk to somebody on the phone. I had to talk to somebody on the phone today, and they had to do security checks.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, I'm going to give you a list of letters and numbers.
Uh-huh.
You tell me which one was your 1997 Mercury Cougar.
What?
The license plate.
I didn't know you had a 1997. I wouldn't remember my high school car.
He went through my cars.
I don't know my license plate right now.
You don't know the license plate.
I have to ask you every time I have to fill out new paperwork, which is twice
Regularly.
a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you walk down the hall with your hand outstretched, going like this with for my phone for some reason. You were doing this thing and you looked very
because we were doing all these
aggressive
security checks, and it was just and it's one of those things. So many times when you're adulting, you're imposter syndrome. You're I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
I don't deserve to do this. And then you kind of get you see crack in the armor of the person you're talking to is more adulty than you, and you go, oh, you're kind of there too. You're kind of a fraud as well.
Yeah, you're just faking it.
Because the guy, I won't get into the details because I don't want my information stolen, but he was
Too late.
Yeah, probably. I said Mercury Cougar, my life's gone. But he was asking me a bunch of questions, and I just gotten transferred from somebody else. And once I answered the security questions, he was like, so how can I help you today? I was like, I had to do this. I knew I wanted to do this. This is why I called you. And he's like, well, that's this department. I was like, I was just at that department. And he was like, oh, and I was like, okay, good. You're the dummy too.
So we're all lost.
We're all just lost. Great. Makes me feel good.
I recently had to get a prescription. I told you this, but so it's not new to you, but it'll be new to the listener. You could pretend like it's new to you. I had to get my prescription.
Okay.
And I had set up auto refills at some point. I don't remember doing that, but I guess I had. And so they called and they were like, your prescription is ready. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't actually need that one right now. It's an inhaler and I didn't need a new one. I have asthma, listeners. And
why wouldn't you just take it? Did it expire?
I guess I could, but I think I have a backup. I have a backup one right now. I don't need to be collecting them, but I guess I could.
Okay.
Anyway, I was like, I don't need that one. What I do need is this other medicine that I've run out of, which apparently I didn't put on auto refill. So I put in the prescription, and they were like, well, you're going to have to call us for that one. And
who were you talking to that said you had to, you were online?
No, they sent me a voicemail. I don't answer phone calls.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You worded it like you were talking to somebody the whole time.
No.
So I was very confused. Somebody's like, you're going to have to call us. Click. And they just hung up on you.
But they called a couple times, and they called again, and it was like, sometimes it's automated, but this is like a woman, and she's like, your prescription has been on our shelf for a week, and we need you to come pick it up. And I was like, that's aggressive. So instead of calling...
was an automated voice?
No, it wasn't an automated. It was the real lady called me.
Can you imagine if they had just sassy automations?
You're going to need to get here, ma'am. And so then instead of calling them and saying like, my bad, I actually don't need that one. I do need this other one. And I was like, I'll take both, but I definitely I'm not making a trip to you unless I have the other prescription.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm not making 2 trips.
No.
To pick up an inhaler I don't want right now.
And they'd probably appreciate that.
Sure. But instead of doing that, I moved the prescription to a different pharmacy. So I didn't have to, because they were mad at me and I could tell and didn't want to deal with it. So I switched it online. This is Walgreens. Okay. You can do it online. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm done with that store.
You're just done with that store? Is this like the 4th one?
No, but I picked a different one.
Why we keep moving Walgreens?
Equidistant.
You know what? Let me ask you this question before you go on.
Okay.
There's a Walgreens they used to go to all the time.
Yeah.
You said it closed. I trusted you.
It closed.
Did it close?
You've never driven by it? It closed.
I don't drive that way.
That one is very close to us. But now I had to pick 2. They're both equidistant.
I'm driving tomorrow by that place.
It's closed.
To you. It's dead to you.
So I picked a different Walgreens and I put in the prescription, and a couple days went by and they were like, hey, you're going to have to call us.
What?
So then I finally called and they were like, your insurance changed. It doesn't include us anymore, so we can't fill this for you. So it turns out I can't have anything from them. I have to go through
well, that's great. So you don't
a
have to
different
talk to
pharmaceutical
from
company. Yeah, I guess so. I've burned that bridge, certainly with the one location.
Yeah.
I don't know what their longevity of employees is, but as long as that lady's there, I'm not going.
Isn't that funny that we panic about things? We've both worked in the service industry.
Yeah.
And we've had terrible customers or whatever.
Yeah.
And we know that those people are like out of sight, out of mind. Like customers in restaurants and bars, for those of you who've never done that, we think about you, for the most part, the same amount what you think about somebody in traffic.
Yeah.
Where you have a fleeting moment of like, screw that guy. And then for the most part, you kind of move on. But you might talk about it later over drinks.
Not if they're a regular. And I'm probably a regular screw up at Walgreens. Like I regularly don't get my prescription right on time or what. You know, I'm not quick to get to the pharmacy.
I guess, but in no world are they gonna be like, oh, here she is. Hold on.
Farrier again.
Jessica, get over here. She's here. Say what you need to say to her. I think the reason this needs to be, and this is the first episode, because we've done some trial runs.
Yeah, maybe we'll release them someday when this podcast is like the number one
podcast.
Yeah. See you later.
Couples figuring it out.
Yeah.
The reason why is because we've had a week.
We've had a week, bud.
We had to.
We've been through the ringer.
Figure out health insurance.
Yep.
Which I think we did.
I think so.
First day of school.
Yeah. Well, first you went on tour, and before you went on tour, our whole family got sick. Then you went on tour, and then first day of school, and then
my daughter, our daughter,
had a great first day of school.
Great first day of school, and then took the next 2 days off because she was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Because we don't know
We're
why.
not sure why.
Don't know why.
Could be. Go ahead. What is the diagnosis we left with?
Plantar's meningitis.
Masseteric adenitis.
Maybe. We don't know.
Maybe.
Nobody knows is the thing.
Nobody knows if I said words.
Somebody is shaking their head listening. She had some pain in her abdomen, and we took her to the pediatrician, and he was like, well, you can go to the ER, or you can probably just go home, and if it gets worse, go to the ER. I was like, okay. We got home, immediately worse, like fever.
Pop a fever. That was like the first step of, it's up to you guys. you're the grown-ups.
That was the step number 1 of It's Up to You.
Step number 1 of It's Up to You. And Kevin and I both struggle with It's Up to You, especially with healthcare decisions.
We struggle at restaurants.
We do struggle at restaurants, but this is one of those ways in which we do struggle. Adulting, I guess. But as parents, we're like, who are we?
Yeah, that was the beginning of it. And I remember I didn't like it then. I never like it. And he was just like, I don't know. What do you guys want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I came here.
For your
and I'm paying the
expert opinion.
What's it called? Copay. Yep. So that you will say what I should do.
Right.
I am, I'm a community college dropout.
And I was a theater
to
major.
You, doctor. And he did kind of lead me towards, just go, it's fine, go home. If it gets worse, go to the ER.
Yeah.
We got home, she pops a fever. And I was like, okay, let's go to the ER.
To be fair, we didn't right away go to the ER. We did what I always say to do when we have a sick thing.
Call my mother.
Call your mom.
Call my mom.
And Kevin's mom is a nurse that specializes in
She's great because she doesn't do... Yeah, she's a cardiac nurse and has been a nurse for a long time.
So he was like, I don't know that she'll know a ton about appendixes.
Yeah.
But I said she'll know a ton more than we do.
Yeah, and she did.
And
thankfully, was obviously like ball in your court, but was also like, you should probably just go to the ER.
Just go.
So take my daughter to the ER, and it is, 6 o'clock when we leave. And now you've got to deal with our son.
Which is no problem. He's a dreamboat.
It's no problem, but your brain is somewhere else.
Well, I won't lie. When you guys left, I was in the mode of, let's just get this checked off. I'm sure she's fine. We're going to go. Because she had like a little head cold for a few days. She wasn't probably eating as well as she should be. She was taking medication intermittently, like Tylenol.
Yeah.
I was like, she probably just hasn't been eating great, probably hasn't been drinking enough water, she's probably just constipated. That's what we're gonna find out. That was fully in my brain. Something like constipation.
Because we're over 40 and that's what we just think it is.
No, but I just didn't think it was probably going to be a big deal. There's a small percentage of it that's going to be an appendix, but I'm looking it up, and it's like appendicitis usually happens to like 10 to 18 is like the biggest demographic, I think. And so I was like, you know what? She's 8. That's probably too young. I just really assumed you guys were going to go and find out it wasn't anything. So as much as I was worried, I wasn't that worried until you called later. And you called me at about 10 p.m.?
It's probably later. We were there for a really long time. And
you had to have tests.
I think it was like 11 p.m. when we got a room in the ER. And it's very funny. So you and I are both comedians. And our daughter still likes us.
Yeah.
Maybe someday she won't.
No, that's not true.
She's going to love us forever no matter what.
Yep.
But there is that trope of like, they're not gonna think you're cool. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right now she thinks we're cool. And
yeah.
I appreciate it. So she always wants to be funny too. She always wants to make jokes.
Yeah.
She's a jokester. I love the look on her face when she says something funny and I'm laughing and she's laughing. It's the best face. Best look in the world. The downside to that, she's trying out material all the time on people. Maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
She got an ultrasound and was like, man, this is a good massage. And I was like, all right. And and then just like all the stuff, all the whatever, all the things. She was very charming. But it was like 11 p.m. when they were like, put her in a room. And then, we got her in a room and I was like, great, she can fall asleep. Because I think we're going to be here till like 1. I don't know. I made that number up in my head. But that's what I kind of thought. Yeah. We got a room. We're not out of here soon. So we'll say 1 a.m. And it was like, told my daughter, like, try to sleep. And she's like starting to fall asleep. And I step out and they're like, we're admitting you. And I was like,
yeah.
And they're like, they're worried about appendicitis and that you might have to do surgery. And then I had to call you.
That's when you called me. You're like, so?
She's been admitted.
And I was like, what? Then that's when I really lost it.
That's one of those weird moments.
You lost it.
Yeah, I didn't handle it well either. I was staring at a wall. I was like 4 inches from a wall because like nobody's allowed to see me cry. It's funny because I called you.
You didn't want your daughter to see you cry.
She might have already been asleep. I don't remember if she was yet.
Oh, you're afraid of doctors and nurses seeing you cry?
Yeah, I guess.
Weird.
they're dealing with enough, you know.
Sure.
I don't need them to come sit next to me.
May feel like an overreaction, but it's just appendicitis.
Just appendicitis is dangerous.
Sure, and surgery on an 8-year-old sounds terrible.
It sounds terrible. And I was very tired, and then that information upset me. And then it's not fun. I'm not saying anything new here. This isn't groundbreaking statement here. But it's not fun calling somebody to be like, hey.
Yeah.
Everything's hopefully going to be okay.
But it's bad. Yeah. It's not the news you're wanting. And it wasn't the news I was wanting. I was so surprised by it.
It's not everything's fine.
Yeah.
It's everything's dicey.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is.
But we didn't really prep for an overnight. But now we have an overnight. And now we're into the logistics of like, how is my day going the next day? Like I had to work. I had a dentist appointment. Now I don't have a car. I have to get our son to school. Like it's all these things that are stupid logistics, and it all, it's all things that get sorted into boxes really quickly and is not a big deal. But for the moment, it's just like, a rush of dust above your head swirling. And you're like, there's too many things. It's 10 p.m. and I can't do this now.
Well, talk about then what you had to adult next. You had a dentist appointment.
I had a dentist appointment. I called right away because I wanted to get it over with, and I wanted to be on their voicemail first thing in the morning. I don't know how early they come in, and my appointment was for 8:30.
But
I was only half listening to the message, and it said leave a message, and then the phone started. But then I heard something that was like, but if it's an emergency, and then I didn't hear what they said. And then it started ringing. And then I got scared that they said, if it's an emergency, hang on the line. So I hung up.
Yeah, you called somebody on call.
No, I didn't. That is their voicemail.
It was their voicemail.
Yeah. Which I was 90% sure that it was.
Oh, okay.
But there was a little 10%. I was like, I'm not waking up my dentist right now.
Do you remember what you said to me, though? You were like, I have a dentist appointment tomorrow. What do? I just called. They're closed. I can't just leave a voicemail. I was like, you definitely can't do that.
Well, I felt terrible. It was supposed to be a long dentist appointment, too. I was supposed to get these clips off for my Invisalign. It was going to take a little while.
This is one of those.
And I was like, this is horrible. They're going to have a big open slot in there more.
Yeah, this is like the adulting part where you're just like, oh, I feel terrible. My daughter's got appendicitis and I'm ruining their day.
Yeah.
No, they're going to listen to the... Again, it goes back to that like employee, like the bartending thing. It's like, I don't think about you that much.
No, I know.
Okay. Same thing there. Right there. I was like, oh, that sucks. I guess we have some time for you today. That's sweet.
Probably.
That's about it.
I still haven't called to reschedule. That's the next adulting task I have to do.
That's what you will overcommit to this
When I
week.
called the next morning, I called and I said, like, hi, I just wanted to say I'm supposed to come in at, 8:30, and I'm very sorry to tell you I can't make it in. My daughter's been in the hospital all night. And then I sort of paused and my brain broke, and I just went, and so not coming in then.
You said not coming in then?
Something like that. And I said it with like a little laugh, cry. I don't know what it was.
Probably they were high.
Maybe.
An email.
Or yeah, she's
voicemail at 10:30, like she's stoned.
I sound so inept in this podcast. I am a human adult who handles a lot of business things.
Yeah, you handle most of our structural important things.
Yeah, I just don't enjoy any of it, and especially not if it involves speaking to other people.
Well, I usually speak to people, but you sign up for things online.
Yeah.
You're good at that. Click, clack, click, clack. That
makes it sound like I online shop. And I do.
I was going to say, what are we talking about?
Yeah, that is funny. That is like how you have these, like, they're often gender roles. What do they call them? Blue tasks and pink tasks.
I think that's right. I don't know. I've heard that sounds familiar.
I think that's what it is. People talk about it like related to the mental load and stuff. And we have very much like, I feel like tasks related to like what our brain does well. Like anything that involves
strengths,
speaking to people, it's got to be you. But preferably not in the same room with me, because I'll hear the way that you're asking questions and I'll be like, he needs to ask that quicker or sharper.
Yeah, you don't like to talk to people, but you do micromanage.
I do micromanage the way that you talk to people.
Do you remember when we got new internet? You were furious.
Yeah.
Someone knocked at the door. I went outside and you were like, great, he's handling it. And I was out there for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, your job is to send the person away.
And I came back in and you're like,
I think we're getting new internet.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's great internet.
It's been pretty good. There's been a couple moments with it, but it's been good. It's been good, and it's been much cheaper, which is ideal.
That's all I'm saying.
But in my brain, I was like, that's not who you buy the internet. You don't buy the internet from the guy that comes to your door, but you did.
I sure did.
Yeah.
I felt terrible. I felt very uncomfortable about it, but she offered me enough documentation that I don't know. It might have been a scam. We might just be having internet that we're stealing from the neighbors, and she's made 8 credit cards.
Yes. But I let you answer the door to these salespeople. I say let you.
Let me. Wow.
I send you to the door. Is that better? to deal with people who are trying to sell things, because I did the same thing, and I bought I want to say irrigation. That's not the word. For the bugs. Like an insect guy.
You bought like pest control.
Like an organic pest control. They came and said that your neighbors have this service and maybe you should have this service. And I was like, absolutely, let's do it. And then they left and I called and canceled it. But then we did end up getting pest control shortly after. We just got a cheaper service. This one was like.
But you came up to me and you were like, whenever I got home shortly after that happened. And you're like, I think I did something terrible. And you explained it to me. I was like, yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
Let's shut that down. And we did.
I think I'm also very wary of, although I've done it several times, anytime I give my credit card information to somebody who's just like outside in a vest. You know what I mean?
I had to call Chase today. And the security stuff that I was telling you about. I called Chase. It's important that I say that again.
Yeah.
I called them, and he was doing security checks, and he was like, all right, give me your social. And I almost was like, oh, okay.
All right, pal. I did the same. I stopped outside a grocery store once, and it was somebody for like an organization that I do like and respect. But I should have said, you know what? I do like and respect your organization, and I will donate monthly on your website. But instead, I just filled out a card for him that had my credit card information on it.
Not great.
And I walked away going, I hope that's going to that place.
That's not great.
He was wearing a vest with their logo on it. That can't be just.
You can't just make those
at
any
print
printing
those.
press. There's like 500 of those in LA.
Screen printing your own stuff? I don't think so.
You screen print me 8 vests. We're going to hit up the neighborhood.
You make a lot more with my credit card information.
That's true. That you got to spend money, make money. So my our daughter she's in the hospital. We get her up to her room. That was very surreal for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think surreal is the right word, but it was very.
It might be.
I was like transported back to when she was born.
Yeah, I think surreal works there. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Great. Good job.
I'm proud of you. Good job.
Oh my gosh, I'm amazing at this. Because it's the same hospital, essentially. It's the same like the
sister hospital. Yeah.
So the setup and everything was the same.
Yeah, the room was like exactly the same setup as our after.
Yeah, but instead of you being
having
in the bed,
sweet.
she was in there. But I was sleeping on a small couch that I remember sleeping on. Same window looking over. What was even crazier, more surreal, and now I'm going to use the word too much, is that the nurse came in the middle of the night to like, I don't think check her vitals. I think they let her sleep, but they just came in and like just see what the monitor said, basically.
Sure.
Check her IV. And I shot up, and it was like exactly, it was transported to when you were in the hospital.
Oh, sure. And they came in.
And they came in because I remember that happened.
But they came in a lot overnight for me. They didn't give a what about my sleep.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot more. I remember I shot up the first, maybe second time, and then the third or fourth, just kind of like open it up like, you guys good over there?
I remember both times I've had a baby. The 2 times.
Yeah.
I've been like, well, at least now I get to sleep. And then like 2 hours later, they're like, it's time for us to give your baby their bath. And I'm like, at 2 a.m.? Why now?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you let me sleep?
Oh.
It's the same vibe too of like, is no one going to help me take care of the baby? It's just mine now already?
They just come in to remind you to be a parent.
Hey, you need to feed her.
First
I do?
12 hours of being a parent is someone else telling you to parent.
Yeah.
And then the rest of your life is other people telling you you're parenting wrong. So that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you do get that a lot.
So that was my night. It wasn't great. It was fine. And then we went to bed at around 1:30 in the morning. She was up at
That's so crazy.
7.
Yeah.
She didn't sleep either until 1:30. Like she fell asleep a little bit in the ER, but then I had to pick her up, which woke her up. Then she was awake way too much. By the time we went to bed, it was 1:30. And she was just chatting with me. She's like, this is a cool room. Look at all these lights. And I was like, you need to shut.
She was jacked up.
It was funny because she was like really excited, and I was really worried about her, but I wanted her to shut up and go to sleep.
Uh-huh.
I love you so much. I say that a lot. I love you so much. Stop
Yeah,
talking.
I do that too. Anytime she wants to sleep in our bed, and I'll be like, you can sleep in here tonight, but I love you. You've got to turn over.
Turn over and stop talking.
Yeah.
And then you always feel bad, and you're like, should I talk?
Yeah, then you
Should I
cuddle
talk?
her. Yeah.
Should I talk about something? No. Anyway, they did a bunch of tests. Came out inconclusive.
I mean, well, not totally. That's where the second part of this whole, like, we are in charge of decisions, which we should be. She's our daughter. Of course we are. But they came in and, you know, they'd been coming in and out all day sort of saying, like, here's the things that look like an appendix problem, appendicitis. Yeah. Here's the things that don't look like appendicitis, which is kind of giving us cause for concern that it's not appendicitis. Yeah. And if it's not appendicitis, maybe it's this thing. But then there's reasons that we think it's not that. So we're not quite sure, and we're going to do one more test.
Yep.
And all day they're coming in and out and doing that. And then finally she's like, the last thing I'm going to do is just send in a surgeon to chat with you because I'm out of options, and he'll probably have a better idea. And then the surgeon came in, and maybe we misread him. But we both very much got the vibe.
I don't think we misread him.
That surgery was on the table. And I sort of have the opinion that he's just a guy that doesn't really like appendixes. He's
that's
just
why
like,
you do the job. That's why you get that job.
I don't think they're necessary. I like to take them out. I'm really good at it. Just let me do it. So we were like, okay, I'm on board with that. But I do think we should, like, he gave us option B, which was like, let her have some food, chill out for a little longer. And if it is her appendix, it'll show itself. And we were like, great. Let's do that, because it still seems like no one's really sure. And our daughter had been asking for food every 10 minutes.
She was really hungry because she was on like surgery watch.
Every time someone walked in, she'd be like, all I've had is water, and then point to her IV.
Yeah.
And I'm not even drinking it. It's in that thing. So he's staring at us, and we're like staring at him, and like both of us are kind of on a standoff. And I think we were both I'm just sort of the mind of like, listen, man, I know you're not allowed to tell me what to do, but like, let's be honest about who's got the smarts in this room.
I mean, when we got a new roof, the guy laid out all the roof options.
Yeah.
And he was like, based on your roof, I would get this one.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
Here's 4 other options you also could get.
Yeah.
But this is the one I'd choose, but these are the 4 you can get. I'll give you time to think about it. And we were like, great. And we just went, we're going to do the one you said.
Yeah, every
time. You're the
time.
professional. And the doctor was like, I don't know. I could either rip her appendix out in the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
Or you guys can just ride this baby out because it could be fine. And you're like, that's the worst thing you could do.
Right.
It's not why my insurance hopefully is giving you a lot of money.
We're giving people the trick to like selling anything to us. It's basically like, come over and be like, as an expert, this is what I think. Assertive. And we'll be like, we like it. Let's do it. You're probably right.
Yeah. I don't need to customize it. Just like, this is the one.
No.
This is the one you want.
So we did. We decided to wait, and then we waited for a little while. It was looking like, okay, but it'll be another night in the hospital, and then we're going to probably do surgery tomorrow. And then at some point they came in, they were just like, hey, I think you guys can go. She's doing great, man. Just get out of here. Yeah. They didn't say it like that, but that's how it felt.
By this point, and I was like, what is happening?
So we went home, and it seems like it's not appendicitis, but we're still kind of on the lookout. It's very strange. But we adulted the crap out of the situation.
Sure. I guess.
We did.
Yes. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying so much of adulting is realizing adulting is not what you imagined adulting was. If that sentence made sense.
Yeah.
But it goes back to like talking about, and I mention this all the time in like dumb dad stuff, but it's just true across the board. Like, I don't know how my dad fixed things without YouTube.
Sure.
I mean, dad's just like working on the car,
we
fixing
can't fix
something under the
YouTube.
sink. And I'm like, I watch the video 30 times and I go, all right, I'm going to attempt it. Get ready to shut off the water.
Yeah.
and
then I go, should we just pay somebody?
And I'm like, no, I already bought the washer. That was 30 cents. But I am coming to terms with that more. That I don't understand. I still don't understand. But I guess I don't know. Maybe there was more of that. Like, come here, son, hold the flashlight. Let me show you how this car works. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But adulting is really hard. You're right. We did adult it.
Yeah.
Probably no differently than most adults that we think are more put together than us.
That's the thing.
Probably would.
I think we always think that the way that other people do it is they go, I'm 100% sure about this decision. I'm going to put my stamp of approval on it. And like, that's not what people do. I mean, I think it's part of why I'm always like, call your mom about healthcare stuff. It's just because like, even if she doesn't know something about the very specific situation we're dealing with, I just want somebody else to be like, you're not crazy for wanting to do this, or, you know, another person to go like, that's stupid. And then I'll go, oh, okay, glad I called you first.
Well, I guess that's what we're looking for from the doctor. It's like exactly that.
Yeah.
You want that kind of like, hey, you're not wrong for thinking this.
Yeah.
Probably let's do this. You know?
Yeah.
It was a lot of waffling, and then it ended with us being like, taking the less scary option, but then in your brain you're like, am I doing the wrong thing because it's not scary? Am I you know, kicking the can down the road, and that can is eventually going to explode inside my daughter, and then we're rushing to the hospital.
Well, and there were a couple times too where we were like, I feel like I said like, you know what? I think we are going to just wait it out a bit.
Yeah.
And then the pregnant pause that just hung in the air. And then I was like, is that not, are you mad at me?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't immediately go, great, we'll wait and I'll talk to the nurse right now and get you some food. He was just like, just stood there, probably waiting for you to confirm with me, or being like, you don't have to make the decision just yet.
You think he was just an old-fashioned man who was like,
no,
well, we've heard her opinion. What's the real decision?
Not as like the man, I don't think. I think just as your two partners, are you both on board? Is that good?
Teammates.
Yeah. Slash, like, also, I have said several times, you don't have to make the decision now. So, like, if you also want some time, like, I'm worried you're feeling pressured. I don't know what he was thinking. He might have been thinking, like, what time do I have to be in my next appointment? But he let a pause hang there for a very long time.
Did you notice he did that, though? He said, so your options are, this is early in the conversation. Mm-hmm. He said, so your options are, and I'm not going to make you guys decide now.
Yeah.
Your options are, we do an appendectomy, or, you know, we just kind of, she stays here overnight, which is what he definitely said.
Yeah.
And we'll just monitor, we'll let her eat some food, see how it goes. And then if she doesn't improve or gets worse, appendectomy. If she does improve, we'll send her home. And we were like, okay. And then he just stood there staring at us, like, "What's the decision?" And I was like, "You just said
you don't make the choice right
you're
now.
not making it right now," and I feel very pressured.
Yeah.
By your silence. And then we kind of just talked it out, like on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah.
Kind of did that thing where we were just kind of like,
the producers had told us to talk aloud.
Well, okay, this is a difficult one for me.
On the one hand,
I know it's not go home.
And then we finally, so we chose to give her food and wait it out. And then we did eventually get sent home. I will say one of the parts where I was like, all right, I'm given carte blanche to be an adult. And I adulted. And then I felt really like I'd done it bad was we were told, the nurse came in. She's, by the way, the best nurse ever. We loved her. She came in and she's like, so I'm going to go ahead. Also, our daughter, who'd been asking for food all day long, promptly fell asleep the minute she was able to order food. Yeah, so the nurse came in. She's like, I'm going to order food just so it's here when she wakes up. You know, if she wakes up before, let me know and I'll get her crackers or something. And I was like, absolutely, that's amazing. So then, 20, 30 minutes go by. She's still asleep. And the nurse comes in and she's like, so this looks delicious for an adult. I don't know that your daughter's going to love it. It wasn't like an option of a menu. It was just whatever the hospital menu was. So it was a Southwestern chicken salad with like black beans and corn and cheese and tortilla strips. And there was like a green apple, which our daughter doesn't like green apple. She only likes red.
Green apples are trash.
Milk, which is a win. And like pudding, which is potential, but she might not, And so in the meantime, I had you go and ask, can we give her anything, or does it have to be the menu of the hospital? And she was like, oh, no, absolutely. Get her anything. So you left, got our son, came back right as she's waking up, and you had brought a bunch of snack food.
Sure did.
So instead of eating the stuff that the hospital gave, we let her go to town on snacks. She hadn't eaten in 24 hours, basically. Almost.
24 hours.
Let her go to town on snack food. So then her spirits are up. She's doing better. The nurse comes back and she's like, she seems great. How is she? How much did she eat? I was like, she ate a good deal. And then she said, so what exactly did she eat? I do need to write it down. And I was like,
oh, we don't have to do that.
Oh, okay. She ate a bunch of Cheez-Its. And she's like, oh yeah, I did see that container of Cheez-Its. And she ate all those. That's empty now. And I was like, uh-huh. And then, because Kevin had brought like a big Tupperware, it wasn't even like a normal Cheez-It serving. It was probably like 3 servings of Cheez-Its. And then
you just said she hadn't eaten in 24 hours.
Yeah, no, she needed food.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and she had a couple gummy bears, and she had, I don't remember what else.
Graham crackers.
She had some she had some graham crackers.
Did I pack any carrots? I bet I did.
And a pouch? I think she did have a pouch, which at least I felt like that was a
the
win.
Healthy one.
Yeah.
I didn't pack carrots, which is interesting. I didn't pack carrots. She loves carrots. I thought it was just
I wanted you to pack her like a Nutella Uncrustable. Like I wanted to go to town on unhealthy food.
I think...
Not that Uncrustables are unhealthy, in case...
The Nutella Uncrustables are not healthy.
Sponsorship opportunities. We'll take it.
When I go to lunch, I pick Nutella. I think when I was thinking bring food, I didn't know Southwest chicken salad was coming her way.
Right.
I thought she was getting something she would eat, so I was like, I'll handle the snacks.
Yeah.
I'm going to handle like the pickens.
Yeah, I kind of assumed there was a pediatrics
lunch.
Special menu that wasn't just what everybody eats.
If I was bringing lunch, I'm really harping on this, I would brought carrots.
Okay, I understand. But yeah, so she had Cheez-Its, gummies, graham crackers, and a pouch with fruits and veggies. I announced.
I always buy the fruits and veggies one.
Yeah.
Okay, because my kids need their fruits and veggies, and they're not getting them. That's not true. They eat fruits.
And our lovely nurse, it was the only time I felt like I saw a little bit of shade, but she was fine.
Don't care.
But I was like, I'm sorry. I could have sworn I heard you guys say we could give her whatever she wanted.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get
food
in her belly. But maybe we did a bad job. But I also think you did a bad job. And then the nurse was like, this is going too far. And I stopped.
And then we had to pass the buck and end the story here after she came home.
Yeah.
And we kept her home the next day.
Yep.
To watch her. Everything was fine.
Again, our choice. Send her to school tomorrow if you want. I was like, geez, a little more decisions, please.
And then we brought her to school. And then we passed the adulting buck to her poor teacher. Who'd only met her once.
Sure.
I called her over and I was doing that thing, but just like half hand in the air. Like trying to get... I don't know why I'm just not being like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't doing anything. She was just saying hi to kids. But I was like, I don't want to bother you. But she did see me and she came over and we were both talking to her and she's like, so what happened? Is everything okay? I was like, well, she's in the hospital. We gave her the shorter podcast. And then, and then we were like, so, we think she's fine. And she's like, no restrictions. We're like, not that we know of. If she does like get stiff and kind of double over, you need to call us immediately. I just watched her go, oh God. And we were like, I know. I hope we're not these people all year.
I know. It's hard to be like, she is experiencing some pain. But it's not too much pain unless you feel like it seems like too much pain, in which case you need to call us.
But here's the thing. If you call us, you need to make the decision. Are we getting an appendectomy?
Yeah.
Or are we just riding it out? It's your choice now.
Your choice. You're a new teacher. Thank you.
You touched the last and we run away.
Yeah.
So that has been adulting.
It's been a hard week.
And the worst part is this all like started... Well, it started with the tour and the sick and stuff like that. But the beginning of this like health scare was us like literally the tail end of us figuring out new health insurance. And it was just like,
not to get into it, but new health insurance where I wrote our daughter's birthday wrong.
Yeah. Well, we can just end with that. You wrote her birthday wrong. And when I was talking to the people with my daughters, she was okay by the time we got to the doctors. She doubled over, which is why we went to the pediatrician. But she was okay by the time she was like laying on the couch. But yeah, they were like, it's not coming up. And I was like, what do you mean it's not coming up?
Yeah.
And they're like, what's her birthday? And I was like, I know I'm getting it right.
Turns out this guy.
Yeah, you got it wrong.
I'm sure it was a typo more than like forgetting it.
Or
I just like kind of combined our daughter and our son's birthdays. So yeah, one's born on the first, the other one's on the second. Yeah. I said they were both born on the second. But we survived it. You did a great job. I'm very proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
we did that one, and now the school year, as of this recording, the first week of school is done tomorrow. It feels like we've.
I have no idea what day it is.
Okay. I'll say that real quick. I had that moment on
Monday.
No, on Wednesday. On Monday was like brought out of the ER, stayed overnight. I was there at the hospital Tuesday, and then Tuesday
she
we
came home.
discharged her, which was insane because I thought you were staying the night with her. Bring her home, went to bed. You had gotten up, and I don't think an alarm went off, but I woke up and it was 7 a.m. and I looked at the clock in a way that I haven't done since I feel like my early 20s. Waking up like hungover or something. Yeah. I woke up, which I wasn't hungover. I woke up and it was just like stared at the clock. It was like 7:03 and I was like, what day is it? And I like genuinely had no idea. Sometimes I'm like, it's a weekday. Yeah. But is it Tuesday or Thursday? I had no clue. Right. I was like, is it Saturday? Is it February? I don't know what's happening. Yeah. I was so genuinely tired and confused. But we did it. We did it. Great work. We survived it. And now, here's something fun I like to do. Can't get any worse from here on out, you know? Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Can't get any worse. What's the worst that can happen now? We did it. What's the worst thing that can happen? We got it all out of the way now. Now it's really good to be back on a schedule. Smooth sailing from now on. I think we're going to end it here. Follow me at Annie LaFerrier or Annie.LaFerrier on TikTok. Yeah. And you can follow me at KevLaugh or at the Dumb Dads. The dummy, either one. Dumb Dumbs. Bozos. The Dumb Dads. Thanks so much for listening. And if you have, we're new to it. We don't know. We're new to this podcast. We don't know what we're going to be doing. If you have any suggestions for, topics you want us to cover or things you want us to, that's the same as topics. If you have any suggestions for like topics you want us to cover or, we had talked about maybe making this a question and answer thing, but it doesn't necessarily feel like our vibe. If you have any suggestions, thoughts, questions, queries, send them our way. And leave a review because we're brand new and I don't even know what's going to be happening once we send this baby out into the universe. Yeah. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Bye. Okay, bye.